Memories are a gift from God that even death cannot erase. Well, I was born in Grenville, Quebec, on January the 8th, 1910, of parents, Mr. and Mrs. Leonard Cook, and they named me Enid, and they were ancestors of the United Empire Loyalists, of which William III gave a grant of land to these people who came from New York, Massachusetts area and settled in Grenville. And that's where our ancestry begins. Well, my earliest memories were the fact that I went through the First World War and had the flu in 1918 and didn't hardly make it. I was delirious. Millions of people died with the Spanish flu in 1918. My mother and I both were very, very ill, but we made it. I've gone to church since I was a little girl, and my son sang in the choir for many, many years. It was a 45-boy choir, and Dick was 12, used to sing at weddings. He was a boy soprano. David also sang in the 45-boy choir, and they wore gray flannel trousers and pretty shade of blue jackets. They sang at many of the big clubs in Detroit, and it gave them an opportunity to eat out for dinner where some children had never been out for dinner in their lives. From the time I was a little girl, I used to wrap the legs up with bandages, and I always went out as a nurse on Halloween. I dressed as a nurse. That was my ambition. And I met it, and went back the second time and met it after I lost my first husband. I'd never worked in a store in my life. That was my first job ever. I probably was 17, but I saw things that I'd heard about, but I'd never known what they looked like. And you know what I'm talking about. So when he told me that when the men came in on Saturday night and asked for Ross, I was to send them to the back of the store. And that's what they came for, so I would send them to the back of the store. So I wanted to know what these things looked like myself, so I waited until he was on his supper hour. And I went back and opened the drawer where these things were kept, so I got to look at them, saw what they looked like, which was interesting. And then when I went back to work, after I was 50, I used to come home and tell David, "Gee, David, I haven't lived. I'm learning more about life now than I've ever known." Because the girls were going out with the doctors at night on their boats and yachts and all this. And then they'd come in my lab when I was putting the serums, making the serums for the allergy patients, and they'd talk about their episodes with the doctors. And I sure learned a lot that I didn't know anything about. I've tried to live a good Christian life. I've not tried to hurt anybody. I've tried to help people, help my children and my grandchildren. What more can one ask? My life has been long, it's varied, and I have much to be thankful for that I had so many nice memories. So I hope that everybody remembers that Nana wasn't too bad a gal.